All right, so today we're diving into the world of Dogecoin.
Okay.
And I know what you're thinking. It started as a meme, right?
Yeah.
But here we are
Yeah.
in 2025, and Dogecoin is still a major player in the crypto market.
It's true.
It's actually in the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap,
Wow.
valued at a
Oh.
whopping $46 billion.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
What do you make of that?
Well, it's an interesting phenomenon, to say the least.
Yeah,
Dogecoin's resilience, in the face of all the skepticism and the volatility, it really speaks volumes, I think, about the power of community.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the influence of online trends.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's popular, we get it,
Right.
but is it a good investment right now?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
That is the question.
Yeah.
We've got your research and some expert opinions.
Okay.
So let's kind of unpack it all and
Okay.
see if we can help our listeners make an informed decision. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the elephant in the room,
Okay.
Dogecoin's price.
Right.
Currently sitting at about 0.321 chair one,
Yeah.
which is a significant drop from its all-time high back in May 2021 of 73.3 cents.
Ah.
So that's almost a 57% decrease.
A big drop.
It's a big drop, and we can't forget about those wild swings.
Oh, yeah, the volatility is crazy.
It's like that 216% surge in a single day
I know.
after Elon Musk's tweet
It's nuts.
early 2021.
Just goes to show you the power of a tweet,
Yeah.
right?
So is this volatility
Yeah.
a red flag for our listener, or is it just how it is in the crypto world?
Well, I think, all cryptocurrencies experience fluctuations to some degree.
Sure.
But Dogecoins definitely seems particularly susceptible to hype cycles and external influences, wouldn't you say?
It does seem that way.
Yeah.
So is it a red flag or just how it is?
I think it really boils down to the individual's risk tolerance.
Okay.
If you're comfortable with a high-risk, high-reward situation, then Dogecoin's volatility might be acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for something a little more stable,
Right.
a little less risky,
Yeah.
then there might be better options out there.
Okay. So volatility is something to keep in mind.
Definitely.
But now let's dig into the research a bit
So?
and look at some of the pros and cons of investing in Dogecoin.
Right.
One of the arguments in favor of Dogecoin is the strong community support.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're
Right.
very passionate.
Very, very passionate and loyal bunch.
They are.
It's quite impressive, actually.
Yeah. And they've really proven their ability to mobilize and generate buzz,
Oh, for sure.
which, can really translate into price momentum.
Absolutely. I mean, you see it all the time.
And they've been involved in some pretty amazing things, like charitable causes.
Oh, yeah.
Even funding the Jamaican bobsled team's Olympic journey.
I mean, that's incredible. It really shows their dedication.
Yeah, it really does.
It's pretty amazing.
So the research also mentions growing adoption.
And the possibility of Dogecoin becoming more integrated into mainstream payment systems.
Yeah, that's an interesting development for sure.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, the wider the adoption, the better, obviously.
Right. More people using it, the more demand.
Exactly. If Dogecoin becomes more readily accepted as payment,
Hmm.
that could significantly increase its utility
Yeah.
and drive demand, which is what we want to see.
And, for those who might be interested in getting involved in mining,
Mm-hmm.
there's the option of cloud mining,
Right?
which seems a lot more accessible than buying expensive hardware.
Yeah, definitely a little less of a barrier to entry.
So is that a viable path for somebody just starting out?
Cloud mining can be a good way to dip your toes in the water without making a huge investment up front.
Yeah.
But you got to do your research, make sure you find a reputable provider and
Right.
understand the fees involved.
Transparency is key.
Transparency is key, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got community support, potential for adoption,
Mm-hmm.
accessibility through cloud mining.
Yeah.
But what about the downsides?
Right.
The research also highlights some pretty significant risks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no investment is without risk, is it?
Sure that.
And with Dogecoin, that volatility we talked about, that's a major one.
Mm-hmm.
The price swings can be, pretty
Yeah.
dramatic in both directions.
Yeah.
Which can be, nerve-wracking for some investors.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
What else should our listeners be wary of?
Well, another concern is Dogecoin's limited technological development.
Okay.
Compared to some other cryptocurrencies out there,
Yeah.
Dogecoin hasn't really seen the same level of innovation and upgrades.
Interesting.
So it does raise questions about its long-term viability and its ability to compete in this,
Yeah, it's a rapidly evolving market.
Evolving market.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there are the inherent security risks
Oh, yeah.
that come with any cryptocurrency.
Hacking, theft, scams. It's a wild west out there.
It is. It's a digital Wild West out there for sure.
So you got to be careful.
Absolutely. The decentralized nature of cryptocurrencies,
Yeah.
while it's a strength in many ways,
Yeah.
it also makes them vulnerable to those kinds of threats.
So exercise caution and stay informed.
Absolutely. Stay informed. Stay vigilant.
All right, speaking of staying informed,
Yeah.
one of the analysts mentioned a rock-solid support zone for Dogecoin.
Oh, yeah. That's an important concept.
Can you explain what that means
Sure.
and why it matters?
Yeah. So a support zone, it refers to a price level where there's historically been strong buying interest.
Okay.
So think of it as kind of a floor for the price.
Okay.
If Dogecoin were to drop down to this zone, it could signal a buying opportunity for those who believe in its long-term potential.
So we've got these pros and cons and this
Yeah.
wild price history, this
Yeah.
support zone concept.
Right.
But what do the experts actually think about Dogecoin's future?
That's a great question.
Is it going to the moon or is it headed for a crash landing?
Well, as you might expect, there's a range of opinions.
Of course.
Some analysts are quite bullish on Dogecoin.
Bullish.
Bullish meaning they think it's going to go up.
Got it.
They see the strong community, the growing adoption,
Yeah.
the potential for mainstream integration. They see all of that as positive signs.
Okay.
In fact, one analyst even predicted Dogecoin could reach $1.44 by 2025.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It is.
But I'm guessing not everybody is so optimistic.
You're right. There are also analysts who are much more cautious about Dogecoin's prospects.
Okay, and what are their concerns?
Well, they point to Dogecoin's reliance on hype, its limited technological development,
Yeah.
and the fact that its value is largely driven by speculation and sentiment.
Okay.
They worry that if the hype fades, the price could plummet.
Yeah, and some of those predictions are a little concerning.
They are.
One analyst even suggested Dogecoin could drop to as low as 0.274 cents in 2025.
Yeah, that's a pretty wide range of possibilities.
That's a huge range.
Yeah.
So what does it all mean for our listener?
Well, it means it's a very, very unpredictable market.
It's tough.
It is.
So how can they make sense of it all?
I think it comes down to critical thinking.
Okay.
You have to look beyond the headlines and the price predictions
Yeah.
and consider the underlying factors that are driving Dogecoin's value.
So it's not just about whether it's going up or down.
Right.
It's why it's going up or down.
Precisely.
That's interesting.
And that's something we can explore further as we dig a little deeper into Dogecoin's fundamentals.
Okay, so let's move on to mining then.
All right. Sounds good.
We talked a bit about cloud mining.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the actual process of mining Dogecoin.
Okay, so at its core, mining involves using computers to solve complex mathematical problems.
Okay.
And this is to validate transactions
Right.
and secure the Dogecoin network.
Okay.
And as a reward for their efforts, miners receive newly minted Dogecoins.
So it's like a race
Kind of, yeah.
to solve these problems.
Yeah,
Whoever gets there first gets the prize.
that's a good way to think about it.
And the more computing power you have,
Right?
the better your chances of winning.
Exactly. The more horsepower you have, the better.
And I've heard that the profitability of mining Dogecoin can fluctuate quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is that right?
There are several factors that influence profitability.
Okay.
And understanding those is key for anyone considering mining Dogecoin.
Okay, so let's break those down.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so one of the most important factors is something called the hash rate.
Okay.
And that refers to the overall computing power
Okay.
dedicated to the Dogecoin network.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the higher the hash rate,
Yeah.
the more competition there is among miners,
Right.
which can make it more difficult and potentially less profitable.
So it's kind of like a race
Yeah,
where more and more people are joining in, making it harder to win.
exactly. That's a great analogy.
And then, of course, there's the cost of electricity,
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
which can vary a lot depending on where you live.
Huge factor, absolutely.
Right, because mining uses a ton of energy.
Oh, yeah, it's very energy intensive.
Right, to power all those computers.
You're running those computers 24/7.
So those electricity costs can really eat into your profits.
Well, absolutely. It can make or break your mining operation.
And then there's the mining fees too, right?
Right. The mining fees, those are the costs associated with processing transactions on the Dogecoin network.
Mm-hmm.
And those fees can fluctuate as well.
So with all of these factors at play, is individual mining even viable anymore?
It's a good question, and it is becoming increasingly challenging for individual miners to compete with these large-scale mining operations.
Okay.
They have access to much cheaper electricity and specialized hardware.
So should someone like our listener consider joining a mining pool?
Possibly.
Yeah. Or maybe explore cloud mining?
Yeah, those are both good options worth looking into.
Okay.
Mining pools. They allow individual miners to combine their computing power.
So it's kind of like teamwork?
Exactly, teamwork for miners.
I like it.
Yeah, and they share the rewards.
Okay.
So it increases their chances of earning Dogecoins.
And then cloud mining, we talked about that a bit earlier.
Right.
Offers a lower barrier to entry.
Exactly.
You don't have to buy all that expensive hardware.
You don't have to deal with the technical complexities of setting it all up and maintaining it.
Right.
But again, you got to do your research. Choose a reputable provider.
Transparency is key.
Transparency, absolutely key.
So there are options out there, but what are the biggest risks our listeners should be aware of when it comes to mining?
Well, besides the financial risks we talked about.
Like the price volatility.
Yeah, price volatility, fluctuating mining profitability.
Right.
There are also technical risks and security risks.
Okay. Can you elaborate on those a little bit?
Sure. So mining, it does require a certain level of technical expertise to set up and maintain the hardware and software.
So it's not just plug and play.
Not exactly. No, there is a learning curve involved.
Right.
And if you're not comfortable with the technical aspects, it could lead to frustration and potentially financial losses.
And what about the security risks?
Oh, yeah. Security is paramount in the cryptocurrency world. You got to be very careful, or you could expose your computer to malware and other security threats.
That's a scary thought.
It is. It's a real concern.
Any advice for our listener on how to mitigate those risks?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, do your research.
Okay.
Understand the technical requirements and the security best practices before you jump into mining.
Yeah, don't just dive in head first.
Exactly. Consider joining some online communities and forums. You can learn from more experienced miners.
Yeah, get some advice from the pros.
Exactly. And always be wary of suspicious links or offers that seem too good to be true.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Probably is. Yeah, good advice.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about Dogecoin's supply.
Right.
Unlike Bitcoin, which has a fixed supply,
Right.
Dogecoin is inflationary.
It is.
Meaning new coins are created all the time.
That's correct.
Can you explain how that works and what it means for Dogecoin's long-term value?
Yeah, so Dogecoin has an unlimited supply.
Okay.
Currently, around 15 million new Dogecoins are being created every single day.
Wow, 15 million new Dogecoins every day.
Every day.
So this inflationary model, it contrasts with Bitcoin's deflationary model.
It does. Bitcoin has a limited supply.
Right, which limits the total number of Bitcoins to 21 million.
That's right. 21 million is the cap for Bitcoin.
So doesn't that constant influx of new coins with Dogecoin put downward pressure on the price?
It's definitely a factor to consider.
Right, because inflation can dilute the value of existing coins if demand doesn't keep pace.
Exactly. If demand doesn't keep up with that newly created supply.
All right, so it's like a race between adoption
It is a race.
and inflation.
It is.
If more people aren't using and holding Dogecoin, the price could suffer.
That's right. That's one of the key challenges facing Dogecoin.
Okay.
Its success hinges on continued adoption and integration into the broader financial ecosystem.
So this is a lot to take in.
Yeah.
We've covered price volatility, pros and cons of investing, expert opinions, the intricacies of mining.
That's a lot.
And now this whole concept of inflation.
It's a complex topic, for sure.
So what does it all mean for our listener?
That's a great question.
What are the key takeaways they should keep in mind?
Okay, so let's recap. Well, I think the main takeaway here is that Dogecoin is high risk, high reward, with a lot of uncertainty surrounding its future.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart
Right.
or those seeking a stable and predictable return.
It's definitely not your typical investment.
No, it's not.
So when making an investment decision, our listeners really need to weigh, the meme-driven hype against its current market position and its potential for future growth.
Yeah, you got it.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Because it makes you think about, the role of perception and community in the crypto world.
Absolutely.
Can a cryptocurrency with meme origins actually achieve long-term success?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can it be based solely on hype and community enthusiasm?
Or does it need that solid technological foundation?
Right.
Real-world utility and continuous development?
Yeah, does it need to evolve?
To really stand the test of time?
Those are the million-dollar questions.
They are.
And there are no easy answers.
No.
Ultimately, the decision to invest in Dogecoin comes down to individual risk tolerance, investment goals, and belief in its long-term potential.
So our listeners really need to go beyond those headlines,
For sure.
the price predictions, dig into the research and form their own informed opinion.
Absolutely do your due diligence.
Read those articles.
Yes.
Follow the news. See what other experts are saying.
Exactly.
The more informed you are,
the better
equipped you'll be to navigate this exciting but often unpredictable world of cryptocurrency.
It's a wild ride, for sure.
It is a wild ride.
But it's exciting.
It is exciting.
And one more thing to remember.
Yeah.
Never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Words to live by.
Seriously.
All right, folks. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of Dogecoin.
I hope it was helpful.
I hope you found it informative, insightful, and maybe even a little bit entertaining.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Always a pleasure exploring these topics with you.
Likewise, until next time.
Until next time, happy investing, everyone.
Take care.